I never imagined that a normal shift on a Friday would change my entire life. I was just doing my job, serving tables as I always do. Then he came in, Pope Leo. But that wasn't the miracle. The miracle happened when he left. Maria was a 28-year-old waitress working at the Sacred Refuge restaurant, a small but cozy place located in a busy neighborhood in Lima, Peru. The place was known for attracting both locals and tourists looking for authentic Peruvian cuisine. Maria dedicated herself to her work with a smile on her face, although her inner life was quite difficult. As a single mother, she faced a huge challenge. Her 6-year-old son, Mateo, was hospitalized due to a congenital heart condition that required urgent and very expensive surgery. Maria's salary barely covered daily expenses, and hospital bills kept piling up. Despite everything, she kept the faith and worked hard, hoping for some kind of miracle. The restaurant routine started early. Maria set the tables, prepared the environment for customers, and always kept a warm tone with everyone who came in. She was known for her friendliness among regular customers, although the weight of her situation sometimes showed in moments of distraction. That Friday morning, the day began like any other. The restaurant was full, with the usual flow of customers. Maria served the dishes quickly, took orders, and exchanged kindness with those she served. The manager, Mr. Ramirez, often praised her dedication, but also knew the difficulties she faced. At 1 p.m., a buzz started spreading through the dining room. Some customers stood up and whispered among themselves. Maria looked toward the door to see the cause of the commotion. And to her surprise, Pope Leo, the newly elected pontiff, entered the restaurant accompanied by some aides. The entire restaurant seemed to pause for a moment. Pope Leo was a widely respected figure, and seeing a religious authority of such caliber in such a simple place was quite unusual. Maria, however, maintained her composure. She grabbed her notepad and went to Pope Leo's table with the same friendly smile she always gave to any customer. "Good afternoon. Welcome to Sacred Refuge. My name is Maria, and I'll be taking care of you today. May I start by offering you something to drink?" Maria smiled. Pope Leo smiled back, polite and calm, and placed the order for himself and his companions. The interaction was quick, but enough for Maria to notice how humble and down-to-earth he was, different from the grand image many had of the pontiff. The service continued normally, and Maria made sure to take care of Pope Leo's table with the same care and attention she gave to all others. However, the Pope's presence brought an atmosphere of excitement to the restaurant, with customers discreetly taking photos and whispering among themselves. Maria couldn't imagine that this seemingly ordinary day would mark such a big turn in her life, a gesture that would change everything. The restaurant was at its peak during that lunch hour. Pope Leo and his aides chatted calmly while Maria stayed alert, ensuring nothing was missing from their table. She was happy to be able to serve the pontiff professionally, despite the pressure of curious stares. At one point, Pope Leo raised his hand, calling Maria. She approached quickly. "Is everything okay?" she asked, smiling, holding her notepad. "Everything is excellent, thank you," replied Pope Leo, looking at his companions before returning his attention to her. "We would like to order dessert. Do you have any recommendations?" Maria suggested the homemade desserts, highlighting the Suspiro Limeño, a house specialty. Pope Leo smiled and accepted the suggestion, ordering 4 portions for the table. As she returned to the counter to prepare the order, Maria couldn't help but think how surreal that day was. Despite a life full of hardships, serving Pope Leo was a moment that would certainly remain marked in her memory. After finishing the dessert, Pope Leo asked for the bill. Maria quickly brought the bill and handed it to him with a smile. "Thank you for taking such good care of us, Maria. The service was exemplary," said Pope Leo, looking her in the eyes sincerely. She felt a little embarrassed but returned to the counter without making a big deal out of it. She was used to receiving compliments for her service, although she rarely felt truly appreciated in her routine. Minutes later, when Pope Leo, Robert Prevost, and his companions got up to leave, Maria noticed that he had left a small card and a note on the table. Curious, she approached and picked up the paper. The message read, "Thank you for the wonderful service. May God bless you and your family." Along with the note was a card with the contact information of one of the country's best doctors, a specialist in heart surgeries. Maria stood still for a few seconds, trying to understand the gesture. The card meant a real chance to save her son. Tears ran down her face. Her hands trembled as she held the note close to her chest, moved. An unexpected miracle. The commotion caught the attention of other employees and customers still in the restaurant. "Maria, what's wrong?" asked Mr. Gomez, the manager, concerned. "He left a card, a contact, for the doctor who can help my son," she tried to explain, but her voice faltered. Still emotional, Maria ran to the door. There she saw Pope Leo getting into the car and shouted, "Your Holiness, thank you so much. You saved my son's life." Pope Leo looked back, smiled serenely, and made a gesture of peace and blessing with his hand before getting into the vehicle and disappearing down the street. Maria returned to the restaurant, still with tears, but her heart full of gratitude. A simple visit had transformed her life. Maria's emotions seemed to spread through the entire restaurant. Customers and co-workers who witnessed the scene couldn't stop talking about the Pope's generous gesture. Some applauded, while others went to comfort Maria, who was still wiping tears with her apron. "That was a miracle," said Maria. Mr. Gomez put his hand on her shoulder. "You deserve every blessing in this life." Despite the atmosphere of emotion, not everyone was in a good mood. Anna, another restaurant employee, watched from afar with a displeased expression. She didn't understand why Pope Leo had chosen Maria to receive such generosity. "Seriously, he didn't even notice I exist, but gave everything to Maria just because she does the minimum," she muttered to a colleague. Unaware of the criticism, Maria asked Mr. Gomez for permission to leave early and call the doctor with the contact in hand. She knew she could finally schedule her son's surgery. However, before she could leave, Anna approached with a tone mixed with irritation and sarcasm. "Congrats, Maria. Looks like good service now wins divine awards. Next time someone give me a miracle, huh?" The comment shocked Maria. She looked at Anna, trying to understand the unexpected hostility. "Anna, it's not just about the service. I can't really explain it, but it was an act of kindness. And to be honest, this card is for my son's surgery. Remember he's in the hospital?" replied Maria, staying calm. "Okay, always the suffering mother," Anna retorted. "It's easy to play the victim and get everyone's pity," Anna shot back, crossing her arms. The employees started to notice the argument. Mr. Gomez intervened, calling Anna for a private talk, but she refused and insisted on continuing. "I just think it's unfair. I work as hard as you, Maria, and I've never had luck in life. Seems like only those with personal drama get rewarded." Maria took a deep breath, trying to keep her composure despite the frustration. "Anna, I'm sorry you feel that way. I've never asked anything from anyone. But if you were in my place, you'd be grateful too. It wasn't luck. It was a miracle." Maria's words touched some people who were watching the argument. One of the customers who had been witnessing the scene from the start stood up and interrupted. "Hey, don't turn this into something negative. Papa Leo did this because he saw something special in Maria's service. It was a gesture of faith and compassion, and we could all learn from it." The tense atmosphere began to ease, and Amber, noticing the looks around her, stepped back. "Okay, I hope this helps your son," she said, moving to the back of the restaurant. Maria looked at Mr. Thompson, who smiled encouragingly. "Go, Maria, your son needs you now." With that, Maria left the restaurant and headed to the hospital in downtown Lima, with the feeling that the card she had been given would not only change her life, but also prove who she really was. A woman of faith, courage, and gratitude, a new hope. Maria arrived at the hospital with a racing heart. The card in her bag seemed heavier than usual, but this time it was a weight that carried hope. She entered the reception almost running and went straight to the service desk. "Good afternoon. I'm here to schedule my son Juan Perez's consultation and surgery," she said with determination. The receptionist, surprised, quickly typed into the system and confirmed the data. "Do you have a referral card from one of the best doctors in the country?" she asked, looking at her curiously. "Yes, I received it today from Papa Leo," Maria replied, showing the card. The sense of relief was instant, as if a ton had been lifted from her shoulders. While waiting for the appointment, Maria looked down the corridor leading to Juan's room. He had been hospitalized for weeks, and every day without surgery was a race against time. Now, finally, she could ensure he would get the necessary treatment. A few minutes later, Juan's doctor, Dr. Morales, appeared at the reception. He was an experienced man, known for his seriousness, but at that moment his face lit up with a warm smile. "Maria, we were just informed of Papa's recommendation. This is wonderful. We'll arrange the surgery as soon as possible," he said. Tears returned to Maria's eyes. She thanked the doctor repeatedly, trying to express her gratitude through emotional sobs. "You saved my son's life. Thank you for not giving up on us." Dr. Morales just smiled and placed his hand on her shoulder. "You are an amazing mother, Maria, and now Juan will have the chance to grow strong and healthy." Juan's surgery and a new beginning. The news that the surgery was scheduled for the next day was an absolute relief. Maria rushed to Juan's room, where she found him playing with a toy car that one of the nurses had given him. "Mom!" Juan shouted when he saw her, with a smile that lit up the room. Maria knelt beside the bed and hugged him tightly, feeling the pure love between mother and son. "My love, everything will be fine now. You'll have the surgery, and soon we'll be home together." Juan, still not fully understanding what that meant, just smiled and said, "I trust you, Mom." That night, Maria stayed at the hospital with Juan, praying silently and reflecting on everything that had happened. She remembered Papa Leo and the simple yet transformative gesture he had made. A chance encounter during his visit to Peru had completely changed the course of her life. The next morning, the medical team prepared Juan for surgery. Maria accompanied the entire process to the operating room door, where she leaned over, kissed her son's forehead, and whispered words of encouragement. "Mom is here and God is too. You are very strong, my angel." The following hours were the longest of Maria's life. Sitting in the waiting room, she held the card Papa Leo had left, using it as an anchor of faith. Other parents watched her, sensing her mixture of nervousness and hope. Finally, Dr. Morales reappeared. This time his smile was bigger, almost radiant. "Maria, the surgery was successful. Juan is recovering well." Maria fell to her knees, crying with relief and gratitude. "Thank you, God. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Papa Leo." In the days following the surgery, Juan began to recover quickly. Every smile, every gesture, and every word he spoke filled Maria's heart with joy. Seeing her son healthy again was the greatest reward she could imagine. Meanwhile, the restaurant El Rincón de Lima was bustling. Pope Leo's generous gesture had gone viral on social media after some customers shared videos and photos of the moment. Many people were touched by Maria's story and her dedication to her son. The manager, Mr. Thompson, was proud of her. "Maria, you know what? This story showed the world that honest work and faith can change lives." Maria smiled, moved, but despite the sudden exposure, she remained the same humble and hard-working person. A few days later, while resuming her routine at the restaurant, Maria received an unexpected call. "Hello, Maria. This is Father Marcos from Pope Leo's team. He asked us to get in touch with you. He was deeply touched by your story and wants to help even more." Maria was speechless when she heard that Pope Leo had decided to cover all Juan's future medical expenses and offer a small fund to ensure more financial stability for her. That same weekend, Pope Leo shared a message on his social media about his experience at the restaurant. "I met an incredible person named Maria who served me with so much care without knowing who I was, and that inspired me. May we all remember to help our brothers and sisters. No matter how small the help, every gesture counts." The message went viral, drawing more attention to Maria's story. Many people mobilized, offering support and even donations so she and Juan could have a calmer life, a future full of hope. Back at the hospital, Maria reflected on everything that had happened. Sitting beside Juan's bed, who was now playing and chatting cheerfully, she felt a peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Mom, are you crying again?" Juan asked, curious. Maria laughed as she wiped her tears. "Yes, my love, but now they're tears of happiness." For Maria, Pope Leo's gesture was much more than financial help. It was a demonstration that kindness still exists in the world, and that sometimes miracles come when we least expect them. That night, as she put Juan to bed, Maria took out the card she still kept in her purse. "Thank you for the wonderful service. May God bless you and your family." Maria knew those words would always remind her that even in the darkest moments, light can come from the most unexpected places. "I never asked for a miracle that day. I was just doing my job the best way I could, as I always do. But sometimes life surprises us. Sometimes the person who changes everything is right there, sitting at your table. Pope Leo didn't leave just a gesture of help that day. He left me with hope. And hope changes everything. And you, if you had the chance to change someone's life, would you? Small gestures can make a big difference. Share this story, and remember that sometimes the simplest things can be the most extraordinary.